with Rabbi here is actually impossible, that he's incapable of having...
No, I disagree with you.
Really?
Yeah, we had a great conversation. Randy...
Yeah, but you keep, I mean, we could have a great conversation,
Randy asserted, as factual, that the Jews follow Moses.
Correct.
Please, Randy. How
was that incorrect?
Randy, I will kick you the fuck out. Shut up.
What, kick me? I don't care.
If you want to stay, just shut up for
It doesn't sound to me like he's capable of having a very, effective communication or a polite one.
Because you keep misrepresenting me.
I'm representing my recollection. You can give your narrative after, okay?
That's not my narrative. It's my statement.
Here's how I recall that Randy came to give the answer you heard to the question I explained that I asked him. Randy asserted that he follows Moshe. And he says the Jews follow Moshe. And I quippily, to just get a little rhetorical point, said, no, Moses died. The Jews don't follow Moses. He died. He's dead. We don't follow dead people. We follow the living, right? He quickly corrected me and said, no, Moses isn't dead. To which I then responded with a quote from the end of the Bible saying something to the effect of, Moses
so can I
died.
represent that, or are you just going to keep me representing?
And then Randy explained that I had the wrong understanding as to what death is, and that Moses really continues to live, and this and that and the other. To which
are we going to have a conversation?
Randy, shut up! No, you're allowed to wait. And then when I'm done, you can say the whole fucking thing over again.
Yeah, but you're never done.
I will be done. I'm literally about to be at the presidency. Just shut the fuck up. You know what happened. You were there.
Yeah, well, here's what happened.
Thank you. So then, after I bring the quote saying that Moses is dead, and he says I misunderstand what death means, and that death also means this other stuff, and there's an afterlife and all these things, I then was wondering, I was musing, hey, Randy, do you think Christians struggle with accepting the reality of death? To which he gave the answer you heard. Randy, please start
not their
now.
DNA. They're not
after I start, he's going to start blabbering again as usual. You can continue to misrepresent my positions. That's seemingly your national sport. But what I said was very, very, very super clear. And by the way, subscribe records all the things. So I don't know why you're repeating everything. Anyone can actually re-listen to it.
Rabbi, there's not an audience here that gives a fuck about recordings.
Okay. So I cannot really explain. As usual, I have to be misrepresented and then keep my mouth shut, right? That's how you guys do it? Is that how you do it? Is that what they teach you in shul?
No, I just don't think you're capable of actually going forward and having a conversation, because you always go backwards like this. This is not an effective form of communication. If you want people to know what you think, just say what you're thinking.
I know. I mean, we can be disingenuous all you want. I really don't care. I'm responsible for what I say, not what you intentionally misunderstand. That's just not my responsibility. Now, again,
I literally just got back from the bathroom and the shower for an hour. I haven't been listening to you guys debating.
We can have a beautiful, amazing conversation. Or we can just keep misrepresenting each other. I don't see why we need to keep doing that. So, when I said that I do follow Moshe, I don't follow Mixed is what I said. Okay? Because I don't care about your specific interpretation of his words when his words are written in a very clear format such that there is no room for other interpretations. That is my statement. You may disagree with it, totally fine, but please don't misrepresent my statement, which has been made very clear. Number two would be that you insist that you follow a living one, which is you're referring to God, which I disagree that you do that, but I do believe that is what we do. However, I don't think that the dead are dead. I made it very clear that there is a difference between physical death and spiritual death. And your rabbis agree with that. So I don't know why you take it to paintbrushing all Christians as a certain thing, when I'm not even coming to you with a Christian perspective. I'm telling you what your rabbis believe. It is your rabbis that believe in the death, in the resurrection after the death. It is your rabbis that believe in the physical bodily resurrection. So, for you to believe that Moses is dead, that is something you should take with your rabbi. I humbly disagree with it, and that is my statement. I'm not even using a Christian paradigm.
Well, like you said, the words of the book are clear and speak for themselves, especially when it says Moses died.
Again, see, it's like I'm talking to a wall, and you are unable to receive any incoming information. When I literally am telling you that you are in a direct contradiction with your rabbi.
Like a few divergences ago. Like at this point, it's just like going nowhere. You're reiterating
exactly.
the thing you feel is so.
Because you're behaving like a woman.
It just looks like you're hiding from the facts.
Yeah, which is that your rabbis contradict your words.
That Moses died.
Yeah, you do believe in the resurrection of the dead, correct? Or do you disagree with all your... Okay, so then why do you think that he died?
To do in order to resurrect the dead, you gotta die.
Correct, but that's physical death. Are you able, since you said English is your language, I would expect you to understand that too, especially as a lawyer. Words have meanings, right? Do you understand, I've said it 4 times already.
All my clients.
There's a distinction between I don't know who your clients are, Lord help them, but there's a big distinction between physical death and spiritual death. Although your body dies and your soul is separated from that body, as is the definition of physical death, your soul lives on. Hence it says Moshe was added to his people, as was Abraham and so on. He was added to Abraham's bosom. Okay? So this is the thing that the Pharisees disagreed with the Sadducees about a long time ago. We're talking a long time ago. Your rabbis agree with me, not with you. So if you want to call yourself a Jew, follow Torah. If you don't want to follow Torah, if you follow a rabbi, at least follow the rabbi. But to disagree with both the rabbis and the Torah and then blame Christians, when I'm not even coming to you with a Christian perspective, I'm coming to you with your own alleged perspective. No, there is a life after death, hence you will be judged. That's why you need to keep Torah. Why do you keep Torah? Because someone will judge you after you die. You cannot disagree with that. How am I going to be judged if I die? That's it, he's dead. No, that's not what we believe. That's not what we believe.
You're saying I cannot have motivation for following the Torah other than judgment after death?
Yeah, see how you continue to misrepresent my statements.
That's what you just said. I was asking.
Yeah, that's what you choose to understand. And I made it very clear. I'm responsible for what I say, not what you intentionally misunderstand as a disingenuous cuck, respectfully. It's very clear what I said. Super clear. There's someone who judges you after you die. Hence, you follow Torah. I never said that is the only thing for you to follow Torah. I never said that.
Actually, when you say hence, that's making a causal evidentiary relationship between the two causes.
It's a reason.
You are saying the reason you follow the Torah is because of the judge.
This is a major reason, because this is a major reason. I never said it's the only reason. You should follow God.
You're saying
you should follow God.
That is what your statement, which is why
my God.
My question.
No, it's clearly not the reason. It's clearly not the only reason if there's the Sadducees who didn't believe in an afterlife. Yet they still follow Torah. So that proves to you that that's not the only reason. Just stop playing these games with me, man.
I'm not playing games. You're the one speaking about your...
Man, it's just so difficult. It's really so difficult. Stupid. You're one of the most disingenuous Jews I met. If you want to play with something, play with my balls. Don't play with scripture. So, this is so annoying and it's just so gay.
It's interesting how derailed you get, because I'm mostly poking questions at you, and you...
But you're not poking questions. They're being very disingenuous,
you're saying that I'm trapping you somehow.
No, I don't think you can trap me. I know the Torah more than you ever could.
It's like letting out rope and hanging yourself into more...
I'm not. It's just boring, dude.
Which is fine. I don't care either way. We don't have to talk about this.
Man, it's just very tiring that you constantly misrepresent and you only hear what you want to hear. And
that's what I'm saying.
It's so boring.
This conversation, I'm fine, and I can sense your discomfort. And you're
boring,
you're calling me names. You're swearing. You are trying to high-handedly tell me how to properly follow Judaism, and that feels like an insecurity or something. And I don't,
Okay, and you can believe whatever you want.
But we can talk about anything. And you're making it so adversarial.
I'm not making it adversarial. I'm just telling you that people usually don't take kindly to you constantly misrepresenting every single thing they say and not shutting up. Because you keep interrupting.
I'm asking you questions and
yes, but I'm saying you are.
But Rabbi, do you want other people's opinions? I mean, I could say that you are very aggressive and difficult to communicate with.
Since we started talking, you've been misrepresenting. Now, you can say you're not, but I'm telling you that you are.
Well, listen, Randy, you have made clear many times that you are clearly representing yourself. What could I possibly do to add to the words you are expressing? I'm merely reframing the very words you say back at you, and it pisses you off.
Because, again,
Why is it pissing you off? Because you feel like I'm misrepresenting.
So you still assume and misrepresent. You're still assuming.
Right, you're calling misrepresenting. I'm saying I'm reframing and recharacterizing.
Okay, and I'm saying
repeating them.
Okay, but I'm telling you that's not what I said.
Like when you said Moses wasn't dead, or that resurrection.
When it's one thing, once, twice, 3 times, that is something. But when it's every step of the way, obviously you're a disingenuous son of the devil. Because I don't believe you're that retarded. Especially since English is your first language. Obviously, you're intentionally misunderstanding and misrepresenting and assuming on purpose.
Right, like, what do you think the value of this content is for, like, any conversation?
Nothing. I like to talk to her.
Right. No, slow down. Stop. You said nothing. Then
I like Dora.
Because silence is way better than filling up space with bullshit. Shut the fuck up if you got nothing to say.
I have a lot to say, not to you. I'd rather talk to an actual Jew. I'd rather talk to an actual Jew who actually understands Torah and have a discussion, not someone who just is interested in misrepresentation and assumption.
You tend to leave quietly rather than throw Edmund down into the audience again.
Well, I'd rather leave loudly, actually. Me personally. So. Alright, we'll see you guys later. Have a Shabbat.
Okay, this is the neurotic Rabbi Randy McDickerson. Rabbi has arrived. Yeah, you sound to me like you're stressed out or neurotic.
No, I just am someone who loves schooling Jews when it comes to Torah. It's so beautiful.
I know, but you can't actually have a decent conversation because, you don't let people finish their sentences. You go on and on and on, and it's not effective communication. If this was public speaking, if this was a public speaking class, I would rate you like a 4 out of 10. I do believe that this app is essentially an ESL training platform for international English speakers or non-native English speakers.
It's definitely useful for that, which does spread English, which does spread democracy, which is good for America.
It's beautiful. Well, okay.
All right, so why don't you let me mod the room? Oh, he's not going to stick around.
No, he doesn't want to talk to me.
I think it's funny how... do you really think you're just repeating back to him what he's saying and reframing it, and he can't stand it? Because I don't think you're reframing it. Maybe I'm not following the conversation close enough.
Oh no, you were way late in the conversation. At the point where he was discussing the Mosaic Law, we were way beyond anything. The conversation was over. But he was just on tilt. He just couldn't chill out.
Yeah, isn't the fruits of wisdom and knowledge peace? He doesn't sound to me like he has all that much peace going on in his head.
Yeah, well, he doesn't. He does seem to have submitted to this endorsement of hatred. And there are some people that do that. Ideologically. And I think it's a terrible psychological decision.
Yeah, I mean, I've let go of hatred in my life. I've atoned for sins. I've asked for forgiveness on Yom Kippur from family members, from friends, from coworkers. It's like once you go clear, and you kind of absolve yourself, and it's no longer weighing on your conscience, you're free. It's a huge weight off of your burden, off of your shoulders, off of your psyche.
Hmm. But it's one thing to like be aware of the corrosive dangers of hate. It's very, very different to fully endorse hatred. You know?
That's why I say he's neurotic. I mean, if you think that that is viable or
Even
self-aware.
sustainable.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Right?
Welcome,
How do you
KB.
sustain something like that? It's just gonna destroy the people that touch it.
Yeah, I mean yourself first, and then others around you. I mean, you are not bringing peace and joy. You're bringing hate. So I just don't understand. He thinks he's such a learned Talmud Chacham. He's a spreader of hate.
Yeah, but that was the energy that got him to study the Torah. You know, like he was hateful first.
Yeah, that's true. It does say that in the Tanya that the greater the sinner, the greater the possibility for, I guess, goodness.
Yeah, well, to some degree, they discussed that about like the power of the Yetzer Hara on like a tzaddik.
Right.
That like we would think, oh, it's easy for him. He just has like no desires, right? He happens to want the right stuff. Life is easy for him. And the rabbis tell us, no, that's not actually what's happening. Like you see them, and it looks like everything's natural, but they have a mountain of desire that they're not accessing. That's what they say.
Well, I think there's a lot of people like him. I mean, he does seem to really like the information that he's discussing. Um, but like he's one case example of people on this. He's like a lot of people on this app.
He
I
likes
mean,
the information he's discussing because he wants to hate people. Like I asked him like why he takes like an adversarial position. I said like you're a bit trolly. You pick an argument that like is somewhat defensible, but will be controversial. Like the primary thing is that it'd be controversial. I was like, you want people to hate you. Like why do that?
I can understand trolling, but like part of a good troll is it's kind of like tied to enlightenment. You're trying to get people to realize that they're not in control of their emotions. Their
Yes,
emotions are in control of
right.
them.
Meaning the best troll is the comedian. The one
Right.
that cynically dissects what you're doing in a quip to the point where the emperor is suddenly naked.
Yeah, exactly. So why doesn't he see I mean, I think they call it the fool's journey, meaning that what is it? Aleph is like the what does Aleph mean in Hebrew?
Aleph is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It's also used by mathematicians to refer to different types of infinity.
Yeah, it's the infinity symbol. So
it's also notably makes no sound.
Right, it's silence, which is peace. So
it's the first letter. First letter is shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't get it. Like I kind of like Randy, but there's other times where I absolutely hate him when he goes into his why are conservatives cucks and I gotta make money. And I've even heard other Palestinians like throw him under the bus for that troll because it's just not funny
Right.
enough, you know?
No, I mean, I can ignore that. I've seen enough vulgar language in TV that like nothing phases me. I'm a proper disaffected American youth, but it's dumb. Like that part, I mostly try to ignore. He sometimes gets on a rant. Mostly, I like Randy because he's intelligent. He says ideas that are contrary to the mainstream, which is always useful, right? It could be an idiot, but if he's forming a cogent argument against the status quo, that's worthy of investigation, in my opinion. And he's smart to boot. Like he doesn't have the worst ideas in his critiques. But I can always enjoy being with Randy because he's a cartoon character. He says the same dumb shit in the same emotional, flamboyant way. He's a fucking cartoon. It's like literally watching cartoons. Except I can interact. It's like arguing with Bugs Bunny.
I mean, he's also a Palestinian, supposedly. So allegedly, I mean, the thing is, he's this Greek Orthodox Christian. I never hear him really get into Gnosticism or the Hermetic tradition, but I've never heard him discuss that. Anyways, I'm just saying, like, I think you two are a very good, interesting sparring partners, and it's just a shame that he
Well,
doesn't,
it
yeah.
evolves because he's so emotional, right? And like, I poke fun, and I get sensitive. You can allow me the conceit of poking fun at a Christian that can't come to terms with death in my year of mourning over the loss of my father.
Well, I mean, sorry, I know it's very,
So it devolves, and I'm just, I'm quippy. I don't devolve the way Randy does. Randy goes into a rant. I go into a rant when I'm in a good mood and I have like a good idea I'm working out. When like it's unproductive conversation, I'm gonna downshift into listening because it's a fun show, and you can affect the show with a couple of quips. So just different types of listening.
I mean, I like asking Christians, like questions about Jesus, meaning that I think he was just like a mystic, a Kabbalist who probably smoked weed and took it all literally and declared himself the Mashiach, the Messiah. But I don't see why so many hardcore Christians can't see like an esoteric aspect of Jesus or Judaism and say,
here's one thing that you should realize. Whatever deep meaning you glean from the writings of religions, that is not at all what the religious are doing in the performance of their religion. Those are the ideas behind like the teachers and the ancestors of the people who are performing the religion. The performance of the religion is that. And that's the real experience of the religion. You want to know what it's like to be a Christian? Join the Christians. Hang out with Christians.
No, but it goes back to what you said earlier, that even in law, it's performative. So why can't Christians understand that Christ or Jesus was being performative?
I don't know.
I mean, he did it better than anybody. He literally committed seppuku. He put himself to the knife to essentially try to be the best at being, the mystic. I mean, he literally turned the world upside down, supposedly.
If we take as fully accurate, let's say the rabble rousing, the opposition against both the state of the Jews and the state of the Romans, the brutal murder by the Romans of this kid at his own behest, right? Let's say he knows it's happening, he wants it to happen. He genuinely believes this will be a glorious, miraculous salvation of all of the people, right? And that happens, right? In that he dies. And the world goes on a few days later. That story alone is compelling. And with the writings available and the ideologies and the politics, there is a narrative there. Like, I don't know, people were trying to craft different things, trying to develop them different ways. The mere facts, right? Literally, that stupid, boring investigative report is like, did this guy come back from the dead? We sent this guy, and he said, I don't know, right? All that was the stupid fucking journalism. And the New Testament is the journalism of a story they felt had to be told and had to fit whatever like prism of the many weird, crazy ideologies in early Judaism. They thought it had to be this. And then it grew and evolved into whatever Christianity was. You could say it's the will of God. To me, it just looks mostly like a mess.
Yeah, but in terms of overthrowing the Roman government, I mean, I wouldn't say it overthrew the Roman government, but it like turned it upside down in a certain way because they dropped all their former practices and said this Jewish guy is the new thing, and everyone adopted it politically, religiously, etc. So in many ways, he was super effective in his troll. It's like the most effective LARP and troll ever carried out by anyone because to this day, there's a billion people that declare he's the absolute truth. So it's unbelievable what he has achieved. He's a very successful comedian.
I don't think so.
I mean,
you're just saying like Life of Brian.
Yeah, Life of Brian is a very good depiction. Like that's a very smart movie. I mean, they even had the whole.
It is a very smart movie.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
They even had the whole gestation thing with the trans. I mean, that was like way before ahead of its time.
Yeah, they threw in a lot of deep cuts.
When are you gonna gestate the baby? I know. I've been to Jordan. I know Jordanians, and I like them. But they're also, I would say, bigoted and racist. And
No, if anything, I'd say Christianity is a curse to Jesus' name. Right? Like, think about what that kid was campaigning for while he was alive, if we accept all of the facts. That's not anything like Christianity. Just not in any of its forms. Like, it's just not his model. I don't think his model would work. I think Christianity is harmful and dangerous. But I think that Christianity is the curse that has to hang on his head.
Well, despite what Randy says,
if you
he's
were to
dead.
ask me what the rabbis meant when they said that Jesus is roiling in feces over in boiling feces eternally, they were talking about the Christians. They were saying that is the merit to his actions. That's what they led to. And when they say boiling feces, that's their opinion of Christianity. Well, they're saying that that's what the poor kid is dealing with in the underworld.
Well,
because of how he made his choices.
Well, the Buddhists say that the Buddha is a dried turd, meaning that, you are the Buddha. So, like, if you want to say that he is in a pot of shit, I mean, you could say that, his actions, his actions resulted in his horrific death. So, I mean, it's a literal comment or critique on his decision making. It's like the expression, how did that fish get on that wall there? It opened its mouth. Christ.
No, meaning they're doing their assessment from a simple evaluation. Assume for a moment you were judging the merits and demerits of the world. You looked at the Christianity and what effect it's had on the Russians, on the Balkans, on the Germans, on the French, on the English, on the Americans. You look at all of that and you see, is their ideology improving them more but they didn't have this Christianity? Would they be better if they were with their original ideologies, some of the other ideologies available, or they've got Christianity? And I'm saying that of necessity, if he plants the flag as the moral center of all of Christianity, then all of the literal shit that they are guilty of is literally on his head. That's what the rabbis are saying.
I know, but what is it? The Council of Nicaea.
Because it's hot. Do you know how hot it is when it's fresh?
But
that's why it's boiling.
Don't you think though that the Romans, by adopting Christianity, they were admitting, okay, maybe we've been pretty immoral. Maybe slavery, maybe all these pagan, insane rituals and this whole lifestyle we need to update it. So they utilized
I don't think Constantine was really doing that, but you'd have to look into the particulars, like what kinds of reforms were really effective, right? That's a story I always like about Valentine's Day, right? People say it's a Christian day. Like, Christian of what though? Some guy that was secretly marrying Christians against the law. That's a cool thing. And there's weird innovations that they did. I don't want to discredit it. I'm just saying that in terms of what they accepted as being truly under their brand, it's a mountain of feces on top of their deity.
I know, but the problem is by saying mountain of feces, you're creating a lot of negative neurolinguistic programming with that terminology. So there has to be some kind of esoteric meaning. That's why I brought up the Buddha as a dried turd. Because when
what do they mean by the excrement per se?
Not per se, but meaning that in the conversation, it's going to create a lot of emotional animosity with somebody. So it's like testing somebody. Just how Christian are you?
Okay, I hear you. But I'd say that the excrement is A, something that is repulsive, something that people don't want. B, it's something that humans produce. Granted, all animals, but it's a production. So it's a thing that's a part of us, but we want very far removed from us. And it's saying that because of his messaging, somehow he's producing this wasteful byproduct, this thing that no one would want to touch. So all I'm trying to elaborate on the feces that I think is upon him is the conflict between the fulfillment of his words as performed by his church and the apparent goals of the kid. It's extra and oppositional. It's the opposite of what he would want. And it is, by definition, because of their worship, on his head.
Yeah, I think a lot of Christians, in America or around the world would probably say the exact same thing and agree with you 100%. I mean,
more than that, within the religion, they literally say their sins are on his head. Like, the truth is, it shouldn't be controversial for the Jews to say that he's roiling in feces. The Christians are saying he's roiling in sin.
what do you mean the Christians say he's rolling in sin? Like, what is that?
Meaning, right, a friend of mine had this quip. He says, I sinned today because if you don't sin, Jesus died for nothing. Right? Their theology, their moralistic framework, right? The mechanics of it offset their sins onto the deity because the deity's in their heart. Which means the sins go somewhere, right? There's a swap-a-roo. They didn't do the death to redeem sin. He did that. They go on his head. He gets the thorny crown. He gets the blood and the stigmata and all the Catholic imagery. They degrade their God as a form of worship. That's their story. The rabbis are highlighting it.
I think it'd be kind of funny, if we were to retitle this "The Secret Teachings of Jesus Christ."
Because it's similar to a different type of idolatry. There was an idolatry, Baal Peor, which was known as the way it was you defecate on the statue. That was the form of worship. And there's a funny Talmud story about a guy that saw people worshiping idolatry and he hated it so much. He's like, I'm going to make fun of them. He throws rocks at them. But he didn't know that was how they worship idolatry, so they cheered him on. And he was like, oh, okay. So then he tried to hit it with sticks, and he didn't know that was part of their idolatry, so they cheered him on. And then he takes a poop on it, and he didn't know that was part of their idolatry, so they cheered him on. Point being, Baal Peor, they did poop on them. That was their style. And there's thought put into why was that their form of worship. The rabbis have tons of laws about specifically those people, and they're like, why would they do that? How is that? Their theory is that it was similar to Hellenism, which glorifies man. It is a degradation of the deity for a freeing of the human. So to them, it sure has some sacred narrative value, but that's the psychological assessment from the rabbis. They want to degrade the deity. When they see another deity that is being degraded in its essence, right? My God is great because he died miserably and alone, hated by everyone, with thorns on his head. When you are worshiping the degradation of the deity, you're just backhandedly trying to benefit yourself. You're just trying to say, I'm not that, and all my refuse goes on to the God. Which is why when the rabbis see a thorny, bloodied up God that the Christians are bowing to, they see a mountain of shit on his head.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not literal.
No, it's not literal.
So that's the problem is, you hear people in these rooms saying exactly what you're saying, and it really upsets people. It's like saying Muhammad is a pedophile, and it's dangerous, That's why I say I think it's important to maybe try to transcend.
Or how about this as an alternative theory? You want to get conspiracy about it? What if they were hinting at something? Roiling in feces. There were sewers it's not impossible that there were somewhere rivers of feces, and the feces got to go somewhere. So maybe he was put into a Roman aqueduct that carried away waste.
Yeah, there's also something I saw on the internet recently. It says that in Tibet, in some Buddhist ancient, very old book, I guess 2,000 years old or whatever, it says that somebody named Yashua or something, somebody showed up and studied in Tibet and went back to their homeland with the Buddhist knowledge. I don't know if there's any truth in that, but I hear that often floated as a theory for, Christ's enlightenment.
Yeah, I hear he made it to the Americas too.
Well, didn't you know he was indigenous? He was born in Chicago.
Yeah, where's their holy land again? Is it Jackson Hole, Mississippi or something?
No, Manhattan Beach, California.
No, the Mormons.
Oh, Salt Lake City.
No, Salt Lake City is like their capital and everything, but like they have, I think this is like a different one.
Oh yeah. In Illinois, that's where they believe, I guess Jesus is going to come back in their original town in Illinois.
Right. But not New York, where Smith came from.
No. I think it's like in the prophecy, it's in Illinois or something. But that story is really interesting. It's really far out, It's really far out, like what they were doing and what happened to them. Like they literally.
It was a crazy time. There were other cults, many cults that have popped up in America over the years.
You could say any major
Mormonism
corporation.
is the most successful.
I think you could say any major corporation or any organization technically has the same fundamental organizational structure of a cult.
If they're managed well, yes, because they are organizations of people. That's why they talk about corporate culture.
Yeah, I think Scientology is like a perfect example of like a fairly well executed organizational cult. It's kind of funny how you can take a cult and if you run it like a business, you can almost ensure its perpetual survival. Like the Vatican is essentially, I don't know if it's like the last vestige of the Roman Empire, the Byzantines or whatever, but the fact.
It's complicated to say who the hell the Romans are nowadays.
Well, what I'm saying is the fact that the Pope, that it's never going to die out because there's always going to be a Pope. Like, when Trump gave his address, they said who the like last survivor is, or what was that name of that TV show where in the event that Congress gets struck with like a bomb and everybody dies, there's the sole survivor. Like, fuck, the Vatican, there's always going to be a new Pope. It doesn't matter if he gets assassinated. It's just going to keep going. So that conclave, it's like they figured out a perpetual, automation of their organization.
I don't know. How do they make money over the years?
Are you serious? It's just like it's like your average.
Straight donations all the way to the top.
No, a lot of people when they die, they leave their estate to the church. Their whole life was invested.
Right, that's
yeah,
easy.
It's a big amount of money. Look at all these big machers that run Chabads. Many of their congregants leave their entire estate to the rabbi.
I've seen that. Why do so many people do that?
Because they're invested. Their family, like they love it. It's their life.
Right, I hear you. There's also probably some skillful manipulating people into doing that within the organizations.
But it's a good thing. I mean, because if I've been to Chabad, like it's a pretty clean operation for the most part. I just find it impressive that they have so many children, and they're so well. Their disposition has always amazed me. I have seen their kids doing the most obnoxious things in the world, and they don't even bat an eye. They just sit there and keep davening and reading as if their kid is not, destroying the living room. And you're just like, wow, like, I really like your attitude.
Well, you have enough kids. You learn to not get phased.
Kibby, what up? Did you want to say anything, or are you just enjoying the ASMR as you fall asleep. Okay, everybody, this has been another exciting episode of the Neurotic Rabbi Randy McDickerson. I'm usually listening to Adrian Dittman at this time on X. He's probably high on ketamine right now, screaming about, the glowing orb or something. We can check. I wouldn't be surprised. Never mind, he has blocked me. You have been blocked. Adrian Dittman has blocked you. I don't think he went live tonight. Holy shit, he's tweeting a lot of weird stuff. He wrote, "The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb." He also wrote, "The loss of life most close and dear brings the pain of finality to bear on a reality of loss. The loss never forgotten yields dread and grief that will make way for cherished memories, even though its scars remain." Then he posted Trump's message to Hamas. Holy shit. Your mom was so fat she sat in a binary tree, flattened into a linked list times 0.01. Therapy, what's that? I go to archangels with all my problems. So I'm telling you, Dittman thinks he's like a mystic. Elon has embraced mysticism. It's very interesting. It would be like a really good essay or a post to like go into the mysticism of Elon Musk. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this room. Hope you have a great night and you all sleep tight. Talk to you soon. Bye.
That's a good
It's about the number of words per second.
Okay, I mean,
It's okay to be suicidal at this time.
You're just being such like haters right now. It's like fucking crazy. You call me suicidal.
I'm telling you. I'm literally telling you. I love you like my child.
You're like, oh, Rose, you talk too much. You're too loud. You're always talking about
It's okay to be
masturbation.
suicidal.
Oh my God.
You'll be about fornication.
But I love you like my child. He doesn't get it, right? He doesn't get it.
You love me like your inner thigh. I know. Like you told me that before.
Why are you talking about my inner thigh?
Because I tucked my balls into your inner thigh.
My balls are not on my inner thigh. My balls are very small balls. They're not even
never forget to tuck that in. You didn't even fucking expect that, motherfucker. That's why you're not the best rabbi. You're a good rabbi. You're a good rabbi.
Well, that's why he's not
Yeah, I'm
around you.
honest.
But you'll never be the best rabbi. You'll never be.
And that's why
You're good. You're good, though. You're good. But there's a few better than you.
Why
Let's
can't you
get
get rid
some
of this thing?
schlong.
They are the black-cloaked rabbis of the inner circle of. Okay, I'll shut up. Okay, I'm done. No, I'll shut.
I was like, how much did you drink?
Oh my God, you removed him.
What's Rabbi Randy going on about? I've listened to him in the other room, and I'm not impressed, Rabbi Randy.
I know, it's giving Tate McRae.
I think it's an English language barrier. He thinks he's proficient in the English language, but I just don't think he's actually as proficient as he thinks he is.
Well, why don't you teach him since you're so smart?
Okay, Rabbi, what is a conjunctive adverb versus a conjunctive adjective?
So basically, you're asking me the difference between an adjective and an adverb.
Correct.
Amazing. That's totally amazing.
Conjunction.
What's your function?
What's your malfunction?
Alright.
Rabbi, I do have a
So,
question
how
for
are
you.
we wasting our time tonight? How are we wasting our time today?
Ooh,
Alright, so
period
what
is here.
are we
Period
talking
will help us waste our time.
Who's period?
Period is the guy from that movie. The Jerusalem movie.
Kingdom of Heaven.
Yeah. How do you view that movie, Rabbi, in today's context with Israel and Gaza?
It has nothing to do with today's context. That movie is horrible because it really it butchers the history. It actually butchers the history.
Really? What was the
It's so
butcher?
inaccurate. For example, King Baldwin IV, which is the leper king in this guy's picture. He didn't really want peace with the Muslims. Neither did the Muslims want peace with the Kingdom of Jerusalem. So the movie makes it seem like they want peace, it's just that their followers don't. In reality, it's the total opposite. So that's just an example for you.
Is a conjunction adverb?
Yes, it is.
What is
So that's just an
what is an
example.
onomatopoeia, Rabbi?
Onomatopoeia is a word with a definition.
Rabbi,
Describe.
what do you
Sound are the
Okay,
same.
Ryan, we know you're an English speaker, but
What did you say?
this is
period?
not for you.
I was wondering if you're religious.
Yeah, I'm hyper-religious.
You're hyper-religious? What kind of hyper-religious are you?
Like he
religious
fucks
as it
nuns.
gets. That's blasphemous. Yeah, these are very unholy people, period, but I have to sit with these people because it just is what it
Okay,
is.
Rabbi, you were just talking about balls.
Rabbi, that's what Jesus did. He hung out with prostitutes and gamblers and drunkards and tax
Rabbi,
collectors.
what kind of religious are you? I just wanted to know.
Well, what do you mean by that? Like, what kind of religion am I?
Alright, you study
Okay. Spirit says, why did they take your underwear?
I study
Okay.
the Mikvah.
Why did they
I study
take
the
your
Torah. I
underwear?
study everything.
so you're Jewish?
No, oh fuck no.
Why? What's wrong with Jewish people?
Ugly-ass Muslim.
Depends who you ask. Do you want my honest opinion or do you want my politically correct opinion?
You can give me your honest opinion. I